Hey, everyone. This is Dr. Kennard, and with me is Dr. Tomfoolery, bearded atheist, though there's no evidence right now that you're bearded, sir.
It can be assumed.
It can be assumed. All right. And Glenn, the international man of mystery, right here.
Hello.
We'll call you Two Cats. No, what's the thing?
How you guys doing?
I'm doing okay, sir. How about yourself?
Not bad. It's been a while just because I've been working Costco and it's been 3 to 8 and or 3 to 11, and then I've just all I've been doing is coming home and sleeping.
Well, sleep does happen. That's what
Yeah,
we're doing. Sleep,
yeah.
sleep does happen. So,
And
so what,
unfor
you're doing 3 to 11 shifts?
3 a.m. to 8, and then some of them are till 11. I've been asked to stay a couple times, so they obviously and pick up shifts, which is good. So my part-time job which it was last week was over 30 hours.
Good.
And unfortunately, I lost my job at the steakhouse because I had a disagreement with one of the uh, one of the other servers.
Oh, you
And
surly bastard. What did you do?
well, no, 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 no. Honestly, just what I took out me and this other girl took out appetizers. I forgot to get plates, like side plates for the salad and stuff
Right.
like that. And the guy came in and he goes, and I go, who took it out? I go, I did. And I go, I forgot. He goes, and about a month ago I forgot something. And so he brings that up. I go, don't bring up what happened previous. Like it happened a month ago. And then we got into a little bit of a shouting match. And then I go, just don't bring it up. And he goes, I'm not. And then brings it up again.
Yep.
And unfortunately, it's a high end steakhouse, so I'm new. He's been there a while, and basically, I went in the next day because it wasn't going to be busy. I was probably going to be given the night off anyway it was because it wasn't busy. And then
Yep.
I wanted to go in and pick up my tips for the previous week,
Mhm.
and I wanted to speak to God. I apologize for yelling and apologize, for just overall my screw up. And I get a call the next day or day after that this guy has said he can't work with me. He doesn't want to work with me at all. So the owner, instead of basically, I said, let me just tell him I want to sit down with him and apologize and let's talk this out. And he
Yep.
calls me back the next day. He goes, he doesn't want to talk.
Mm.
And I'm
Hmm.
going like, and I'm thinking, I screwed up, and I'll admit, I'm the first one to admit when I screw up. If I fuck up, I'm the first one to admit it.
Right.
But to not even give me the chance to apologize, or not even give me the chance to, I've had a couple of things where he'll say something, I go, I know, like I know what I'm doing, like, and it might come off a little arrogant, but I mean, anyone that's worked in the restaurant industry knows that you have disagreements, but they a lot of times don't need to be worked up because people know that it's a stressful environment and it's done with, it's over with.
Right.
But this guy, it's a good thing actually that it happened that week because I was very close. I was about a week or a half away from going to thinking of going to lease a new car. So
Right. Right.
like so
Hmm.
it's a good thing it happened then. But honestly, like I really wasn't serving, so it really wasn't like I was kind of food running, and I was because I could guess because they consider like they do it really formally. They're like I was considered a junior server,
Sure.
so junior, yeah, and
Hmm.
so it was I. But the good thing is I called the job the Italian restaurant I had been working at in the up till last December, and because they called me, and when I told them I had a full time job, they think. But then I call them back, and I got a couple of shifts, but a couple of shifts like they're looking to maybe give me Friday and Saturday nights on bar. So
Oh, well, that should be
but
money, right? Friday,
yeah,
Saturday on bar.
yeah,
That sounds like
yeah.
it's a cash cow.
Um, but it's like you don't have actually a lot of people sitting at the bar, so you just actually be making drinks. But I think you all split the tips equally, so
Okay.
whatever. But then I was speaking today. I was speaking to someone at Costco, and I might be able to get because my Costco is only seasonal, but I might be able to get a permanent job out of it. So
Well, if you're a good worker, they will typically. I mean, I've started out a lot of jobs just as part time
yeah,
through myself, and they bumped me up to full time. So
yeah, Yeah.
That might be the situation with you, Glenn. Hopefully it will
Yeah,
be.
I'm hoping so, because if there's one thing I hate more than looking for like places to live is job hunting. I
Oh yeah.
hate. I don't think there's anyone that actually enjoys job hunting. I really like.
Yeah.
I d-
Yeah. My experience is job hunting. There were at least two scams that I came across um, that while job hunting. And let's see what else. It's just been, and just a bunch of shit jobs too.
yeah,
This is literally the conversation. I'm not going to get into the weeds here about my own horrible experiences trying to find a job, but yeah, um, it's crappy. And you're
yeah,
right about the food service industry. Uh, you know, it just drives people crazy. Working, it's high pressured.
yeah,
Uh, it's not always the best pay,
yeah,
and it's just crazy and potentially
yeah,
dangerous too. I mean, if you work in the back of the house, or even if you're working in the front of the house,
yeah,
there are dangerous situations that you can find yourself into.
yeah.
I'll tell you one story. Is that I was working at this is when I was in college. I was working at a pancake house. Basically, I was working at a Howard Johnson's, and no, this is actually earlier than that. I was working at a Bigford's, and it was crazy. It was really packed. The restaurant I was cooking, and one of the
Sorry, guys.
waitresses.
I'm just gonna mute because I've got a phone call. Okay.
Okay, sure. And one of the waitresses walked by me and said, "Andy Hall, you are on fire." And I said, "Yeah, I am. I'm pretty cool right now, right?" And I'm like cranking out the food and everything. And then I looked at my dish rag, or the rag or the towel that I was using to grab the pan with, and I was literally on fire. I was literally like the my hot my what I was using to grab the pan with was on fire. And so another case of I could have hurt myself badly. I guess I didn't feel the fire, and it was a pretty big fire too, because it was a greasy rag that I was using to handle the pans with. So yeah, and yeah, I've had all
Typical Andy obliviousness.
obliviousness, tomfoolery. That's right. Just trying to
Yes.
focus in on the task.
Yeah, but you see, the thing that surprised me the most is that, considering that I've worked in restaurants, it's like the fact that someone that you can't get past an argument and he doesn't want to work with me. I'm going, really?
Yeah.
Like, really?
Well,
And like I know, like I admit it. I lost my cool, and I raised my voice. But you know, I for whatever, like it's in the past. I'm not going to get the job back. I kind of actually, because a lot of people don't want to work, I kind of hope, and this is the bad person in me, I kind of hope he has trouble finding someone then, because he realizes I'm not as dispensable as he thought.
Well, yeah.
That's a bad side of me, like wishing bad on other, not wishing bad, but just realizing that you probably should have pushed the other guy to try resolve this with Glenn, because he works hard, and I'm kind of like, they're a nice family. It's a Greek family, but I'm like, what? Part of me is just hoping that he doesn't find someone right away, or he doesn't find someone that's as hard a worker as me, because then the whole thing, you don't know what you got till it's gone. I really hope that's the case. And that's the mean side of me, but it's kind of,
So Lee Spanner, I just want to say, Lee, is that you're right. You do need two atoms to make a molecule, sir. I did some research. 2-second Google. You're right. So there you go. So yeah, you can have two atoms of hydrogen together, and that would be a molecule, but not one atom alone. But that's complete digression. Yeah, Glenn, I have to tell you, I've made peace with myself about wishing ill on people.
yeah.
I have some kind of peace in my heart that, yes, I generally wish ill upon several people.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with that. That does not keep me up at night at all.
Yeah. Well, I don't really think it's wishing ill. I just think it's like, kind of like just teaching them that, that you're not wishing ill on them. Like, the guy's going to still make his money. He's still going to be as busy, but he's going to have issues with, because a lot of a lot of people don't want to work, like, because if they, especially during the pandemic, we're having another wave, possible fourth wave coming through Ontario, so you never know.
So what I'm hearing, Glenn, is that you're not the asshole, but you're saying you, Andy Hall, you are an asshole for wishing.
Oh, no. No, I could be an asshole. I could be. I've always said I could be an asshole, and part of it is I actually enjoy being an asshole. So,
Yeah. If you can do it while funny, it's very entertaining. Let me say that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this true story too. So I was a manager at a couple of houses for people with disabilities, and one time at 11 o'clock at night, I got this phone call, and it was about two staff people, and this is like well over 15 years ago. So I'm not telling tales out of school or anything, but the two staff people were about to come to fisticuffs.
Yeah.
To fighting each other, and one refused to leave the residence, and the other one had locked themselves into the office and calling me, and I'm like, doesn't he? It's so ridiculous, ridiculous. And so I had to mediate between the two of them. And I asked my supervisor the next day what to do. And he's like, just write up a behavioral contract. And like a behavioral contract, like what we do with people who actually live at the residence who have brain injuries. And he's like, yeah, we should write up a behavioral contract for the two of them on how to get along. And I'm like, okay, if that's what you want me to do, I'll write up a behavioral contract that they don't beat each other up during shift and act like civilized people.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it was like I said, it was because basically the part that surprised me was that the owner was basically telling me that that a staff member says he can't work with me. Now it's a very small staff. Like there's like front of houses, maybe there's 5 or 6 of us,
No, that's not a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm thinking it's like, he said, I can't force people to sit down and discuss things. I'm going, well, you as an owner can say, you guys work this out. So you can tell your staff to work it out if you really want to. If you really wanted to keep me, which doesn't sound like whatever, then you would tell the other staff member that, okay, you guys need to work this out. Sit down and figure it out. And we're both adults. Like, I could apologize. I could sit down and discuss it. And for someone to not even bother, like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's in the past. It's really raw because it's just happened a couple days. It just happened yesterday. But I mean, it's. God, I am trying to remember a job I've actually been fired from, and I think outside of seasonal.
Well, I was talking to a friend of mine about my before the pandemic and during the pandemic, about that job that I left, and we were talking, and he's like, Andy, why don't you just go back to that job? And I said, well, the funny thing about this, Dennis, is that I told them that they probably weren't doing the best thing or in the best interest of the people that they were serving. They were acting in ways that during a pandemic that directly put them into danger. And I might have said it in a way
that you can't come back from.
Maybe I advocate, because I advocate very strongly for the people I work with, to tell you the truth. And I advocate pretty strongly, because a lot of the times, people have disabilities and they can't advocate for themselves strongly.
Yeah.
And so I will say things to get the effect. And if I can't move the ball forward down the line, and if I'm putting myself in danger too, which was the case, right, as well as, it was just crazy. And I'm like, you can't walk away from that. You can't walk back. Those statements.
Yeah. Was your job working with adults with disabilities or adults with injuries?
The first story that I told when I was manager, they were dudes with brain injuries. With brain injuries. So just like regular everyday people like you and me, they were doing fine, and then something happened.
Yeah.
And they became disabled, or they got a disability. This
Yeah.
other job that I had during the pandemic, it was with people. It was with people who were born with a disability.
Oh, okay.
They were born with a disability. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, dude. Yeah.
I give you guys credit. I don't know how it could work with like you have to have a lot of patience to be able to work with those with people like that. I'm guessing, right?
Well, the comedy does help. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
Being able to lighten the mood up, keep things kind of light, even in the most craziest of situations, it does help. It does.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt. I'll say that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
But of course, the humor can help in those situations when you're telling people that they're doing something wrong and you can't walk back from those situations. Yeah, the humor doesn't help then. I'll tell you that. It doesn't help.
Yeah. So what have you guys been up to the last couple of weeks?
Dude, I've just been working a lot. And my last day at this job was yesterday. And I feel like I did a really good job working with this one person.
Yeah.
And so, it was an emotional goodbye yesterday. And still thinking about it, still letting it kind of run through my system,
Yeah. Were you working at working at this person's home, or was it in a home?
I was working. Yeah, I've been for the last couple of months. I've been working in people's homes, which it's different from working in their homes than working in a residence where a lot of people live in. So it's much more personal that way, and creates its own series of challenges. Sure. Yeah.
Because it's like I am like, especially during the pandemic, it's obviously ridiculously tough because of COVID, especially for PSWs and stuff like that, going into homes and stuff. It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, and sometimes they lived in very large housing facilities too, because they're in like congregate housing or housing for people who are on welfare or who need assistance. And so you're stuck in these. I was stuck in these little elevators, right, going up. It's like, yeah, I'm vaccinated, but that doesn't mean I can't get a breakthrough infection. You keep putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Then you feel like a friend of mine got a breakthrough infection of COVID-19. She's
was
fine.
this a Delta variant or?
She wasn't sure. What she did was that she took an at-home test, and she had symptoms, and then she called her doctor's office, and there was no way for her to get a test without going on public transit. And so she's going, why would I go on public transit and potentially risk everyone on the bus to get a COVID test when I already got a COVID test saying that, I have COVID.
Yeah.
And so
it's
quarantined.
Yeah. Well, it's bad because the people that need to get, because we're actually lucky. I don't know what I was thinking in Ontario we're at about 80% vaccinated.
Oh, that's great.
At least one vaccination, but
congratulations on that.
Yeah, but it's just getting that next 5% to get a herd immunity when is a difficult part, and they're talking like maybe doing vaccine passports. I think we should do it. Honestly, I think the federal government should just say, "Screw it, do vaccine passports for the whole country." And if you don't like it, then it's tough.
Yeah.
Because I think Ontario's. I don't know if I'm not quite sure if they were saying that their Fords are hesitant to do it, but it needs to be done because otherwise, we're never going to get this thing under control.
And it strikes me that Canada, because here in the States, well, it's the States, and we have this federal system, federated system. I think in Canada, from what I understand, is that it would be easier for the federal government or for the central government there.
Yeah.
Do a passport system for the entire country.
Yeah, and and I think we're also coming up to an election soon, because I think Trudeau apparently will call an election because he thinks if he can call a federal election and he can even keep a slim majority, then he doesn't have to worry about enough. If he wants to he can wait for 5 years to do another one. But it's
This
all
is
about
what-
staying in power for him. And honestly, like I've always said, many people have said, like, I'm not a Trudeau fan because I don't think he came out as a superstar, and his true colors are showing. He's not. They're doing they got some bills on which I think one of them is to do with internet security and stuff like that, or access, and it can basically monitor what you monitor your social media and stuff, which is scary. But but the thing is, this is that the right complains and bitches and complain. I've always said, just like before Ford came in, put someone in that's electable, and you might get rid of Trudeau.
Yeah.
But I was listening to the radio, and the conservative leader was going, "Yeah, Trudeau's done a horrible job with China because there's a Canadian guy that's now facing a death penalty for a drug trafficking charge that he might or might not be guilty of, but it just happened to happen around the time." And also 2 journalists or stuff were captured around the time that the Huawei's daughter was arrested in Canada, and suddenly these people are arrested. And Aaron O'Toole's going, "He's done a horrible job. I would have done anything different." I'm going, "I'm Canadian. I'm about to become a citizen. I'm proud of this country. But you, as a leader of Canada, are going to pressure the second. Are going to pressure a superpower, one of the 2 big superpowers in the world, and you're going to do what? What are you going to do differently?" And I mean, like, when you make idiotic comments like that, I'm going, "And you want me to vote for you? Like, you want me to vote for your party? On what planet is that going to happen?"
They're gonna cut off the maple syrup.
Yeah.
They're gonna cut off the maple syrup.
Yeah.
When there's 2 major parties and you're unhappy with one, but the other one is just completely horrible, it's like, eh.
Well, you know what's interesting about the parliamentary system, and what I think kind of like blows a lot of brains, for those of us here in the States who understand that vaguely understand that there's another type of way of doing things than the crazy system that we have here, is that parliamentary systems, you can call elections, right, and also that there is a president of Canada, I imagine, but he doesn't have any power, or they don't have any power. They're just
because basically our president is our prime minister, and he's just, and then we have a Senate, but I don't know what it exactly does. we have our House of Commons, but I mean, it's, with as bad as Trudeau is, it's the devil it really is. When you have an idiot that's when you're running against guys that are so freaking like the last guy tried to say he was he was a homophobic anti-choice guy, and I'm going, really? Like, we're supposed to, and then he goes, "Oh, that's how I previously be," because anti-choice people are anti-choice suddenly become pro-choice, and people that are homophobic suddenly became open to gay marriage. You speak about it, you speak against it for 20 years, but now that I'm running for the country, the leadership of the country, I'm changing my mind. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Right. Yeah, well, I've said it once and I'll say it a million more times, is that most people under normal circumstances just work on a tribalistic kind of mindset. The frontal lobes don't get engaged that often, and it's mostly just habit and midbrain that just, and I'm including myself, to tell you the truth. I mean, I don't think I'm any different. That most of the time it's just inertia.
Yeah. And I think also a lot of us, and I think especially in the days of social media, will listen to other sides, but we'll always go for the person that confirms our bias. We always at 100% are in for confirmation bias. Like, I will always go, okay, well, this guy says this, but this guy, I trust him a little bit more, and because that's reinforcing my belief, and that's just what all of us do.
Well, that is why it's so important for people to become literate in skepticism as well as the scientific method, right? The process is that those are ways to help keep us from running around in these cognitive cul-de-sacs, these just these confirmation biases and these logical fallacies.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, this is a lot of because you see, I look at it that I want to give conservatives a chance, but then you're trumpeting, especially in the U.S.
Yeah,
your big stars are pedophiles, enablers, COVID denying QAnon morons.
Yeah,
and and I mean, it's like I'm supposed to give your party a chance when you're still running out Louis Gohmert. The guy, I swear, if he had a brain cell, it ran away scared. You know, and you got Matt Gaetz, who, how he's not in prison yet, I don't know. Hopefully that will be soon. Mm-hmm. You got Jim Jordan, who should be behind bars for looking the other way when the coaches were, doing with whatever they did with the wrestlers. Mm-hmm. I'm supposed to give that side a chance.
Well, it's once again, it's the middle of the road fallacy is a fallacy, right?
Yeah.
Should we be should we be listening to Nazis? Yeah. I don't know. Probably not. I think that there's a lot of good non-Nazi sources to go to for information. That's what I think.
Yeah.
The only reason to listen to Nazis is if you're trying to dismantle their substance entirely.
Yeah.
Listening to them for ideas on policy, no. Listening to them to figure out how to destroy them, maybe.
Yeah. Well, it's also the when you it's like they go, I'm a patriot, I'm a Nazi, but I'm a patriot.
Yeah.
Your dad and granddad literally fought against that. So you can't be a patriot and a Nazi. You also can't be a patriot and a Confederate at the same time.
Well, this is true too, Glenn. You're right about that.
Yeah. It's like you just change the flag to the color it should be, a white flag, because that's what the Confederate flag is.
Tesla Ranger says, but if you don't listen to Nazis, how will you know who are the good ones are? Oh, well said, Tesla.
Well, just remember, there's good people on both sides, right?
All right. You just have to ask.
According to Cheeto Face.
Cheeto Face.
Yeah. I've did you see this? I don't know if you were the one that originally shared it. I'll send you the picture. It goes the first ever flat Earth surfing competition. It's them surfing off the edge. There's 100 fatalities at the flat Earth one. It was them just flying off.
I don't even know. I share so many. Crap. So much stuff on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah. So it was. I mean, like I say, like I want to engage, but I mean, it's like the days where will the moderate Republicans gone? Because they just get drowned out by the stupid.
Yeah. What I find if I'm trying to spread skeptical techniques, if I'm talking with someone who is conservative, and if we talk about a non-political issue, oh my fictitious God, if there's any such thing now as a non-political issue, then I will try to bring up the skeptic's toolbox. Even if it's something like, if you check the volume price, in the supermarket, even just something that small about thinking about something skeptically. I feel like it's a win, or at least a small win.
Yeah. It's everything turns to politics, and it's just just because I'm not saying left-wing politicians aren't hypocritical, but when the right bitches and complains about cancel culture, as they are canceling, as they are not allowing open thought, then you are literally the biggest hypocrite. How can you bitch and complain about cancel culture, and then literally you have Hannity fans breaking their Keurig machines, or anyone that watches Fox News burning their Nikes. I still think the funniest thing is where they burnt the Nikes while they were still at their feet in them. It's like, that's
it's Christianity. Isn't Christianity, like a form of manifestation, a variation of the ultimate form of cancel culture? God is literally killing you for eternity, or torturing you for eternity. If that isn't a form of canceling, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I saw this meme, and it's actually quite a funny site. It goes, dinosaurs that are mad at Christians that are mad at dinosaurs, or something like that.
That's a Facebook group. That's a Facebook group.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've seen the group. It's absolutely hilarious, and it's something they did something about free will, and it was like how God is about God and free will, and it was actually freaking hilarious.
Oh yeah.
And I'm trying to actually turn my thing off of thing. And
dinosaurs against Christians against dinosaurs. It's one of the better Facebook groups out there.
Yeah. I like the meme. Do something that would have got you burnt at the stake 400 years ago.
Not hard to do, my friend.
Yeah.
Not hard to do. Yeah. I will say that the comedy group I run, the atheist group that I run, Atheist Comedy Burrito, far better, but that's because I'm biased.
Yeah. It's
Tesla Ranger says the old moderate Republicans are the new centrist Democrats. Well, that's the problem with the two-party system, right? You have to be part of one of the two parties, in theory, to get your voice heard. If you're going to be a third party in this two-party system, your goal should be to destroy one of the two parties and to take their place. That's what the Republicans did with the Whigs back in the 1850s.
I prefer the idea of changing the voting system so that multiple parties actually can coexist besides just the two. Yeah.
Well, that's what it is. The system is rigged for two parties.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that.
The fear is always that the 40% will win against 30% that agree on most everything that they hate about the 40%.
Right. Yeah. So, so next week, I'm on vacation. I'm up to Vermont, and I just need to say this every once in a while in case people don't know. So I'm going to try. I'm going to do my darndest, and I think I'll be successful in running the show, or at least a version of the show next week. We're leaving on Saturday and not returning until the next weekend. So, yeah.
How long of a drive is that for you?
That's only like 5 hours. We're going up to Montpelier. And if you haven't been up to Montpelier, Vermont, it's a lovely it's the smallest state capital in the Union. Really nice place. Cute place.
If I'm not mistaken, it's Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine all around, and like pretty much right next to Massachusetts, or?
So basically, it's to the north of us directly. It's Vermont and New Hampshire, and there's a very small sliver of New Hampshire if you want to get to Maine via the coast.
Okay.
So because basically they wanted to give New Hampshire a little bit of coastline, and so there's a very small sliver of New Hampshire on the coast. But you go pretty much quick. You go quickly into Maine from there.
Yeah, Maine's apparently really beautiful.
It is. It's a great place, dude. And I learned the difference between. We were up there. The girlfriend, we rented a place. She rented a place during the pandemic, and it was a house away from everyone else, and it was pretty cool. It's up by Bar Harbor, which is a national forest. Up there, and beautiful area. A lot of fjords, not fjords. They're fjords. And you can ask me, what's the difference between a fjord and a fjord? I'm glad you asked. The fjord is a ford is when the glacier cuts out hard rock against hard rock. That's how I understand it. So you'll have fjords. See, now I'm getting my fjords and my fjords confused. But what a fjord is where the glacier cuts out soft land with soft land. So it's not as jagged as a fjord is. So that's what I learned the last time I was up in Maine, everyone. See? That was fun.
Is Rhode Island the smallest state in the Union, right?
I believe it is. It's either that or Delaware. I think Rhode Island is.
Rhode Island is by land area.
Yeah. And is that near New York or is that near Boston?
You have
it's in between the two.
Yeah. People can commute. If you live in Rhode Island, you can commute up to Boston. It's as crazy as it sounds. You can take a train that goes from Providence up into Boston.
Yeah.
And it's not unrealistic.
All of New England is the size of many other states.
Yeah. I think New England can fit into Florida, into the state of Florida.
Well, it's the same thing as what people don't realize, that the size of Ontario, that all of Great Britain can fit into Ontario. you can drive. I think they said if you start at the most southern or northern part, you can drive for something like 2.5-3 days in Ontario and not be leaving the province.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that England is only the size of Alabama, geographically speaking.
Oh yeah, it's tiny.
And when you consider that England basically had control over 1/3 of the world's land surface at one point.
Also, if you think about the fact that inside, like you look at, I think it's Great Britain's population is 60 million people. When you consider the landmass of Great Britain, it is not big.
No,
it's not big at all. And considering the landmass to population, you don't know how there's even any, land that has not got a building on it. So
yeah. But there's a lot of space. There's a lot of, from what I remember being over there's a fair amount of open space. A lot of sheep.
Yeah. Just don't let the Welsh near those sheep, please, for God's sake.
Oh, hey.
For God's sake. No. It was actually funny. I don't know if I ever told you this story. So we're driving down up from London up to the Midlands for a music festival, and we have this Welsh girl in this van with us, and we drive by some sheep, and I go, "Hey, Sharon, look over there," and she goes, and she joked, "Oh my God, they do look sexy." Yeah, and of course her name's Sean, and of course her name's you spell, because it's Welsh, you spell Sean, it's Sian.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, Siobhan spelled Sibhan. That's Siobhan.
Wow. How about that?
Have you ever seen it, or you want to look at something freaking hilarious and go, but the consonant vowels are not where they're supposed to be? Just Google crazy Welsh street signs.
Yeah. And
take a look at some of those street signs, because you're going, how is that letter next to that letter? Like, honestly, it's just ridiculous.
I'm going to put you on the spot, Glenn, International Man of Mystery, since you're talking about Wales. I know there are two dialects in Wales, in North Country.
I don't know a lot of facts about it, but I just know that they, like, for instance, they have their own language.
Yes.
Just like the Irish have the Gaelic, and I think because they do have their own language. And
right. So I'm just looking it up right now, the Welsh language, and just a 2-second Googling. It's a Brittonic language of the Celtic language family. Yeah. So because some of the words in Welsh sound reminiscent of some of the words in Scotland and Gaelic. Like my ex-father-in-law is from a small town, a hamlet in the Highlands called Balhulish, and you see how that's spelled, and it's like, well, that could be Welsh too. That sounds very
like I said, you look at the spelling of these street signs, you're going, what the fuck does that say? And then it's like, it put it this way, Elon Musk's spelling of his kid's name makes more sense.
Yeah.
You know, so and
English is the odd one out for languages in that
oh no,
British Isles.
English, put it this way, English, if you look at the grammar behind it, is one of the most screwed up languages we have.
Yeah.
Like it's just in terms of a lot of other countries, the vowels and the consonants go, or I mean the just the way it's spelt makes more sense into how you say it. Whereas English is just what the absolute hell, you know?
Yeah,
You know,
from what I understand, English is a difficult language for non-English speakers to learn
yeah.
because it's just cobbled together. There was this really good show on PBS that was called The History of English that was on like early Sunday mornings when I was growing up, and I saw a couple of the episodes, and it's interesting how the language has changed over time and the different influences of it.
Yeah. Well, it also depends, like because there's also the issue of spelling, like American English as opposed to the Queen's English. You know, like for instance,
Right.
color is spelled with a U.
Oh, right.
And I think there's other things. I try to forget the words, but there's other words which um, depends spelled like I can't remember which one, but there's one word where the true English spelling is with two L's, and in North American it's spelled with one L or whatever, you know. And it's the same way as to an extent when if you go to France with and speak Quebec English to them, Quebec French to them, they a lot of times won't understand what you're saying because there's less words in the Quebec French than there is in the proper French, you know. So it's
yeah. Language drifts, right? Language evolves over time,
yeah,
and it doesn't make any sense how. By the way, there's
yeah.
there's no rhyme or reason to it. It just drifts around.
Well, it's the same thing as trying to understand how
There are
we ended
people.
up
There are people
with different
speaking English.
accents.
There are people speaking English in my own country that I can't understand.
Oh,
Yeah. How accents evolved, like, which is really how did we come up with these because that's always fascinated me, how accents evolved and how how in terms of how some people look completely different, you know, whether it be, you know, people in the Far East compared to North America and stuff
Well,
like
if you're a local, I'm sure you're the same way wherever you live. Is that you can hear the differences even within your own regional dialect within like maybe a 20-mile radius. Like there is a significant difference from, let's say, a Weymouth accent down here, which is this city south of Boston, from like north of Boston. There's different variations of it.
well, you look at there's if you go from Manchester to Liverpool to Leeds, which are all within about a half an hour of each other in different directions, the accents completely different. The Scouse accent, which is Liverpool accent, compared to the Manchester accent, is completely different, and they are literally 25 miles apart.
Yes.
Which is, and it's not even close. Like, it's kind of a little bit close, but it's not. Like, there's more of a high pitched in Liverpool that I find compared to that. And like I say, you just you go into different parts of London in England, and it's got different accents. Just different parts, like the North London accent to the Cockney to the Essex accent is completely different. It's not only also the difference in accents, it's the difference in slang as well. Which
I'm very excited by this because I thought this was true, and I'm going to completely interject this. Is that it was Noah Webster when he created the dictionary, and I just Googled this up too, because I dimly remember this, but Noah Webster wanted American English to be different from English, and so that's why he got rid of the OUR. That's why he got rid of the in color and humor and a bunch of different spellings. So he basically took control of American English with his dictionary.
Oh, okay. So Webster was Webster's an American dictionary, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah. No Webster.
Yeah, he got rid of the superfluous letters and switched around other common things like center is spelled center in American English, but centre in British English usually.
But
So
you see, but you see, I consider center and center for me different things, because center with RE is like you're going to the Air Canada Center, which is a hockey arena, whereas center ER is the center of a circle, is the way I look at it. You know, so it's
in North America, the RE stuff, like we will spell some things as theater RE to be weird because even though the word theater is ER in American English, we just like to do that because it sounds British.
I am confused and agitated by your analysis, Glenn, and now I want to invade Canada.
Well, at least that's the way I've always thought of it. Like center RE is a place, whereas center is the kind of like the center as in a circle type thing. And that's what I've always understood it to be. I could be completely wrong, but that's the way I've always thought, then it's like,
Glenn, if you can convince a majority of people to speak, to look at those two words, the way that you are, then you're right. How's that?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, and it's also kind of like just different words they use in England. Like for instance, queue, which is a line.
Mm-hmm.
You're queuing, and it's if you say the word pants to them, that is underwear, as opposed to trousers or pants, what we call pants, and then which is it was weird. Like, because when I moved to England, I'd say things and they go, what are you talking about? And I go, they go, those are trousers, not pants. Pants are your underwear. Is what you wear under your pants. And so it's and it's fascinating when because I love actually I like actually that's why I always actually when I went to Florida, because my parents had a timeshare, I actually enjoyed speaking to people about, especially when we started talking about I want to get other people's perspective. Like, I don't want to just go out and get drunk and do stuff. I like getting other people's perspective, and I go like, so when it comes to speaking about the healthcare system, or speaking
I
about
telling other people's my perspective when I'm drunk, Glenn. I'm not.
Yeah. But well, the whole line of everyone's entitled to my opinion. It's like,
Right.
But and I actually want to get the other perspective of, like, when it comes to the gun debate,
Oh yeah.
And I actually got into a discussion, and these people were talking about they lived in Detroit, or they lived wherever, and I'm going, and they go, I always felt I needed that's because I was brought up that way, and I'm going, but would you have felt the same way about guns if you'd grown up in Canada? And he goes, probably not.
Yeah.
Because it's just it's environment, and and I always like engaging with people with a difference of opinion, as long as you don't get abusive with me. As long as we can have a civilized discussion, I am more than happy to discuss. And it's more because I'm interested in differing opinions. I like to see, and I like to see where they get that opinion from.
I agree with you to a point, Glenn. I just like to hear people say crazy things, to tell you the truth. So that's why I like to hear people. Like, how do you know what you know? And then they're like, am I really going to say the crazy stuff that I think of?
Yeah.
And when they're drinking, it's far easier to get them to say those things.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun to hear the crazy ideas that Dr. Kennard has.
Oh, many. Their number is legion. The ideas. I'm going to put in several R's at the end of that word.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so it's like I say, that's why music festivals are great, especially if you go into Europe, because the amount of people that are from I mean, you get people from all over Europe, from North America, and you get to like really engage with people from like massively differing, vast and differing cultures, which is cool.
I'll tell you this stupid story, this crazy story. So I was out. This is when I was married, and I was out camping because I was young and stupid. And I didn't realize how much I hated camping. I was out camping with my ex-wife's friends, so you can see the levels of poor judgment on my part. And so we were hanging out at the picnic table. I might have been having a nosh on something, maybe, and I was talking with a bunch of everyone around me was like really stoned, and we were talking about, I'm an organ donor. I've been an organ donor for a long time. It's on my license. If Andy dies unexpectedly, and harvest my organs.
If you haven't donated any organs yet, you're not an organ donor yet.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm on the list. Thank you for the clarification there, Dr. Tom Fuller. And so this woman who's like stoned as fuck goes, I would donate everything but my eyes. And I'm like, really? Why would you donate everything but your eyes? She goes, well, I might need them. I'm like, I'm intrigued. So after you're dead, you're going to need your eyes. And she goes, yeah, just in case. Because what if I need them? And I'm like, all right, logging that in.
You see, that's what happens when you get stoned. People start to say stuff. You go, okay, then.
But I really think this is what she thinks. I think that this was something that she had in her, that she hadn't. She at some level understood how crazy it was, how crazy it is, but in that moment, because she was so stoned, she was willing to blurt it out.
Yeah. There have been some people who
I guess she wants to see the worms start to eat one of the other eyes.
Maybe. Dr. Tom Fuller, what are you going to say?
There have been people who talk to you that believe in a literal bodily resurrection that say, no, you can't have anything of mine. I need it.
Yes.
They literally believe that their body will be brought up from the grave and they will need everything.
I think that's why the church is against cremation, right? Is that there is this belief of the bodily resurrection.
So, but
wouldn't they just take a rib from Eve and give it to you, and then take half a heart from Adam and give it to you, and just
go
from there?
There's only so many ribs to go around. There's only so many ribs.
Well, I'm assuming God has an endless supply of other organs that he can donate, because he's God, right?
So this is from CNN. What's the church's stance on cremation? The Vatican announced Tuesday. I don't know how old. This is from 2006. From 2016. The Vatican announced Tuesday that Catholics can be cremated, but should not have their ashes scattered at sea or kept in urns at home. I don't understand that.
So if they not,
it's crazy.
You know what? I want to go Viking style. Put me on a barge and shoot a flame arrow at me.
Oh yeah,
and burn me to crisp.
So look, if you're a Catholic, you can be officially, you can be cremated, but your remains should be in a sacred place, like in a church cemetery. So there you go, Doctor.
But what's the do the priests like the ashes as much as they like the little boys?
Oh, dude, someone's doing weird stuff with ashes. There is a kink for everything. I hadn't even thought about that until now, Glenn. Thank you for that horrible imagery.
Back with the reincarnation stuff. Another crazy thing is some super Orthodox Jewish people will have their bodies shipped back to Israel and buried in a cemetery outside of Jerusalem because of the belief that they will be physically raised and walk into Jerusalem, and they don't want to have to walk that far.
Yeah.
Well, there's a good point to that. If you are, it makes some kind of crazy, internal logic, right? It's internal logic, so that if you are going to be bodily resurrected, and if you do have to walk to Jerusalem, it might as well be a short walk.
But
The scary thing is that is the least crazy religious story I've heard of the week.
Yeah, yeah. Fair enough.
Like, that's the scary part. It's just how not crazy it is compared to the other ones.
All right, lads. I'm going to start closing down the show because it's like 55 minutes. We've been doing this crazy.
Yeah.
Whatever we do here, we've been doing it for 55 minutes.
Cool.
You
All
guys
right.
got
Well,
anything
I'm
interesting
actually.
going on today? You working today, Glenn?
No, actually. Well, I just finished work, and
You finished?
I would, if I'd still had the job at the steakhouse, I'd be working tonight. But I'm not. So I work tomorrow, and I work Saturday morning at 5 a.m., not 3 a.m. So I've got Saturday 5 to 1:30, and then Sunday. Sunday's my another crazy 3 a.m. shift. But when you there for Sundays, they give $4 premium, so it's $20 an hour.
Wow.
So
Good for you, dude.
so yeah.
Sammy, we got to sit down and talk about our sleep patterns, brother, because I don't know if you were asleep and you just woke up, or if you just put your kid to sleep and now you're able to.
Australia's on an entirely different time than us.
Totally different. Well, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've had nights that I've gone to bed early and then I've woken up at 1 o'clock in the morning. It's like, this is just what I do. This is just what happens.
Well, there's those days that I honestly don't know what day it is.
Oh yeah.
Like I wake up and I think it was a couple of days ago, because of my at that point my weird schedule between two jobs. I asked my girlfriend, I go, what day is it? Like I once woke up coming back from vacation when I actually went to Israel. I came back and my mom, and this was years ago, and my mom comes in and I go, where am I? Because I actually I didn't even know where the hell I was.
I feel that being consistently angry helps. What day is it? Angry day. What day is it? No angry day. That's what it is. It centers me. It centers me in time and space.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, at all.
Yeah. So it's like I'm not tomorrow. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, because I was going to go job hunting, but I might leave because what I'm going to do is speak to one of the departments. I just actually was told I go because I was speaking to one of the permanent full-timers there, and she goes, you got to kind of pimp yourself out to all the departments and see if you can get a job, because in terms of permanent, because if you could put yourself out, there's a chance that you can get a full-time position, get a full-time position out. It might only be part-time, but their part-time, their part-time is you could get upwards of 30 hours a week, so right. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, indeed. All right, on that note, I'm going to sign off, everyone.
Have a good day and see you all tomorrow.
I'll be here tomorrow doing the same thing.